Hi, this is Shui with a review of a very interesting, innovative, revolutionary shoe designed by a Korean designer from a Korean who set up his own Korean shoe company. This is called the Sphere Groove 3. I reviewed the Groove 2, which was the first groove shoe I've tried with the sphere cushioning, and I did not have kind words. As usual, I tried to pick on the possible flaws and what could be done to improve and what you should avoid, what you should consider if you want to avoid shoes that might not fit your needs. This third version, interestingly, was sent to me from the designer himself. He was nice enough to contact me despite my horrible, very blunt review criticizing some of the flaws about the shoe. I'm sure he put his heart and soul into it, but he wanted me to review his new shoe because of that fact, and he agreed with some of the points I made, I suppose. And certainly the shoe seems to reflect the fact that he was listening to criticisms, critiques, instead of just basking in the glow of other reviewers who would just sing praise about the fact that they've created a shoe that's revolutionary and something different from the major outside of the major brands. So, thanks to designer and CEO of Sphere, Ho Dong-sung, for sending me the shoes and entrusting me to uh, chew it up and spit it out again. And I think that really proves that is, to some degree, a true measure of a man, or a true measure of a CEO or a designer, to be open to skepticism and ask people like me to challenge them and prove that I may fall out of or fall short of, run out of things to critique about with this new version. And indeed, there were some clear reflections of some of the parts that I was disappointed with, starting with these spine or ribs that's been added to these spheres. Because the second one, the Groove 2, was just round and soft, and pretty much, other than the size of the spheres, they had a pretty much similar consistency in terms of the way they compressed and rebound and recoil. So what I liked about this initial version, the Groove 2, was that it just compresses and bounces back very quickly and nicely. If we remember those toys from the 90s, they had a sphere rubber that you fold, and when you let it land, it pops up like it's skyrocketing. That's the kind of rocket sensation you get from this sphere cushioning. I complimented this Groove 2 about the fact that it works and it's very durable. But the problem was that the forefoot was great. I can feel it working. And that's something very rare, because when it comes to cushioning or something revolutionary in terms of cushioning, usually works nicely on the heel, but on the forefoot, you barely feel it, or it's just too hard relative to the heel. But it was not that problem. In fact, it was the other way around. The heel compresses too quickly, probably because there's more weight and more pressure on the heel, and the forefoot responds very nicely. I was hoping that the heel is a little bit more resistant. So this was clearly for running, not for standing around or walking, or definitely not for heavy heel strikers. It was for forefoot, stride, and strikers. But this next one, with the ribs, they provide a lot more stability. At the same time, it does not negate the originally intended design sphere bounce back cushioning. Unfortunately, on the forefoot also, maybe it's because they use something more stable, rigid. So the forefoot sphere, I feel like the second one had a much better, softer, more responsive feel to it. Of course, the heel has been reinforced and improved. The best of both worlds, for me personally, is to have the forefoot of Groove 2 and the heel of the Groove 3. Or if you need to choose between these two models, heel strikers, go with Groove 3. Forefoot strikers, go with Groove 2. Ideally, the best of both worlds for me would be that 50-50 split. Again, the durability is better, if not much improved. There's little nodules to provide extra traction on the outsole, and it's very durable. As I tested in the second one, it's very durable. You could wear it in the rain, in rugged, jagged terrain, in hot weather, cold weather, and they seem to really last the test of time. But one downside that's not improved compared to the twos is that I feel like these soft wings that might actually fold in a little bit depending on your stride. Of course, this is probably mainly designed with direct, straightforward movements, not for side to side lateral movements. So this, but even still, even if you're walking or running straight, that you do over or under pronate depending on your stride or your shape or your habit. So it will be ideal to have some degree of stability instead of something that's open, where you might actually have the chance of, you know, having this discomfort or this risk of rolling your ankle or whatnot. It feels like there's something holding you back if you move side to side. So ideally, if this was covered a little bit, or they've had some form of a plate that surrounds the outriggers or whatnot, it will be much better. And because the sphere cushioning is so strong and responsive and durable, I personally would prefer it to be articulated instead of being full length. If you combine it with any ordinary EVA or foam midsole, and you add those parts where you need lasting cushioning and rebound with the spheres, I think articulation could be the next way. Personally, that could open doors to create a basketball or tennis shoe even. And again, the sphere works great, so articulation and working in tandem with foam would be good. Just like when it comes to shoes like Air Max or Adidas Boost, having the boost all over the shoe is not great. Having a 360 full Air Max is not the best solution. Articulated Zoom Air or articulated select foam cushioning seems to work better. Yeah, but this definitely has the wow factor, and it probably provides peace of mind that you've got that sphere cushioning working all around at the bottom of your foot. So for a size 9, it weighs slightly under 300 grams, so it's light, and it's even lighter than what the digits show. It's actually lighter than Groove 2. That's an improvement. The upper material it's very breathable. At the same time, it seems to be very either it's moisture wicking quickly, or it's somewhat water resistant, because I tried running around in this shoe during the monsoon season here in this country for a prolonged period. And the fun part about walking or running around with this shoe when it's wet, when the floors are wet, there's a bit of a jet propulsion of water being splashed all over the place with even more strength, and I suppose it's gonna cover the splash is gonna cover a greater radius or distance, so you can clearly feel the impact or recoil or rebound of the sphere at work. So if you remember, major brands like Nike and Adidas, they try to do something like the Shocks or the A Cube or the 3A and Bounce, which is not the foam that we know these days, but they try to provide some kind of a plasticky, rubbery EVA pillar that provides a rebound, but they were just rock hard, and they did not provide the cushioning nor the energy return nor responsiveness. They were more gimmick, sizzle no steak, but this is steak and sizzle. Definitely looking forward to more advancements and future models of the shoe, and it's not even priced crazy high, slightly over $130, available only on its exclusive website. So that's an interesting marketing confidence there. It's not being sold everywhere for whatever price, but it's got an exclusive marketing channel or distribution or sales channel. The fused coating around the shoe adds to the fit and lockdown, which is really good. Despite this flimsy and breathable upper, these fuse actually does provide a certain level of fastening. And the heel Achilles padding from the outside in, it's all one piece, and it actually provides a lockdown. Overall, it's got a very suede tip all around the shoe. There is no pinching sensation anywhere, and it does not have a firm heel cup, but it's got sort of like a heel clutching lockdown, like what you've seen in some previous Asics models. So the best of a lot of worlds is in this shoe. The tongue has got these two grooves, two loops to make sure it plays intact and not swirling all over the shoe. The lace loop, the shoelace, I think it's a pretty simple but innovative touch. You see these lace loops, they're flat lace loops, but they have these jagged sides. So when you're locking or tightening the laces, they do stay firmly and provide better lockdown. When you're lacing or like tying up the laces, they don't come off as easily as other type of conventional spaghetti noodles or flat noodle laces. A small touch that makes a world of difference. So the insole is another part that I'm not really thrilled about. It's a nice spongy, very low density ortholite type of insole with perforation, but yeah, I would have preferred, because the heel is a bit more rigid than the previous model, I would have preferred a little bit more of a complementing foam insole. I would suggest getting something a little bit more substantial, because this basically is just spongy. Just thicker, denser ortholite or EVA or PU insole would go nicely with the sphere cushioning of Goorv 3. So yeah, looking forward to the next revolution. And in a matter of a couple of years, I believe the brand was launched in 2020, and I'm sure the designer had to sign a lot of NDA with major brands that he worked for. So for him to be able to start from scratch and come up with something revolutionary and continue to evolve, that's something that deserves respect and support. And again, I'm blown away by this little change that's been made to make a world of difference in the third edition of the Sphere Goorv running shoes. It's definitely great for jogging. I'm not a marathon runner or a sprinter, so I can't speak for those kind of purposes, but it's certainly an improvement from the second one, because the previous model was all about forefoot striking. So if you stand around in the shoe, you feel the heel sinking a little bit, but this definitely has more resistance and stability.